Yeah, I'm doing them right now.
Alright.
I remembered, I didn't have time to write them out at home, but I thought I'd bring them too long.
Perfect.
I was gonna bring them up to you, but I haven't been back to school, especially later in the month.
We got plenty over here. I won't be used.
Boy, have you ever seen such a beautiful corn crop?
No, it's hard to tell when it's dry like everything.
Can you tell me, it looks to me like the soybeans are dark or blue. A bluish blue, or am I just, is it just, are my eyes just screwed up?
No, they're dark. I don't know if they're dark or normal. I had somebody sell me some corn today and they thought they were really early. He thought that like by the third week of September he'd be harvesting
Corn or beans?
beans, but I don't have any idea if that's right or not. That's just what he said.
Well, you watch that when the sun hits a certain date, it's just like the leaves on the trees, you know,
Yeah.
the photosynthesis shuts down. Which is all it over. Kinda like that hay crop out there, that straw that has aftergrowth growing up in it.
There's a lot of them. This is very good. Just Frank K.
Oh.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be looking for a grinder this year to get rid of it.
That's what I told Daryl Booth. I said, Daryl, you're gonna have a long winter.
A profitable winter.
And the hay's rank, and then none of it's been, hardly any of it's been put up right.
Yep. It ain't just here, it's all the way out, hell, it's all the way out to Hyannis and further.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a property tax meeting at the Johnny Carson Theater on the 28th. You're more than welcome to come along.
Governor gonna be there?
I don't think he wants to do that. He's more than welcome to.
Well, I mean, he'd be the one who could maybe most get something out of it.
Are you saying inviting to observe?
Sure. That would, that's anything else we want.
All right. No, so anyway, it'll be at 7 o'clock at the Johnny Carson Theater. And I want audience participation. So bring your questions.
I'm not sure I understand.
To bring your questions, I'm not sure I understand. Well, it's 7 o'clock, according to Verizon. Has anybody heard from Boy? Just give me about a minute, see if he makes it. Someday I'll be behind, you guys will afford me that privilege, will ya? 60 seconds, that's it.
Mary wanted to know what I was doing here so early when we walked in together, so.
call this meeting to order. Where's my cheat sheet at? Notice the regular, August 16th, 2018 meeting was posted at the Neely and Oakdale post offices at the main entrance of the school per board policy 204.07 on Wednesday, August 8th, 2018, and published at the Neely News and Leader on August 8th, 2018. The Open Meetings Act was posted on the wall for patrons to view. Jenny, would you do roll call, please?
Personal,
Here.
Lindsay,
Here.
Frankie,
Here.
Field,
Here.
Savatos,
Here.
Wright.
Here. Action to excuse board members, approval of the consent agenda. Hope everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes and to go over the claims.
I had a question on the minutes. In the minutes there, last meeting, it says the computer purchasing item was tabled to the August board meeting. Is that something that's, I see it's not on the agenda tonight, is that something that we need to discuss?
Mr. Krappel followed up with me. It was his opinion that we should probably wait till further in the year. I think he was more comfortable with the spring kind of date to get some more numbers together and then probably maybe have the Americanism Instruction Committee take a look and do that. So he felt that that would be a good timeline.
I had a question on this, United Private Networks LLC, the WAN lease. It's for the last page of it.
Yep, that's a tech purchase
Okay.
there.
And is that something that's ongoing or?
Yeah, the one I believe is, I don't say have to use your Wi-Fi or,
Right, wireless access.
Wireless, yeah.
I guess, okay. I just never seen it before, so I didn't know.
and the rest should be about supplies, NASCO, and some others that you'll see, Schwartz Paper, School Specialties, Scholastic. Pretty common ones. Same thing with Eeks Office Solutions. We used to go through the ESU consortium for purchasing supplies, but Eeks had a much better deal. So that's why we're kind of running with them as of late.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda, setting aside the new news and legal grievances due on Thursday.
A motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Jenny?
Frankie,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Field,
Yes.
Savatos,
Yes.
Personal,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes. Motion carries.
I move that we pay the new legal bill 362 and 46.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Jenny?
Field,
Yeah.
Frankie,
Yes.
Personal,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Savatos,
Yes.
Wright.
Abstain. carries. All right, item 5, financial recap and reviews of funds. Aaron Weitzel, you are the district treasurer.
August deposits for the general fund, $46,358.72. And capital purpose undertaking fund is $535. Balances as of July 31 for money market is $967,597.63. General fund as of July 31st is $110,632.18.
Is there any questions for the district treasurer? Thank you, Aaron. Correspondence, item 6. Good, okay. Items. This is a time when if someone in the audience would like to address the board on one of the agenda items that are being discussed.
I would.
What item would you like to address?
Just general speaking, nothing on the agenda.
Nothing on the agenda?
No.
I guess this is chairman's purview, since it's not an agenda item. Don't bite on it. All right, I guess. Correct. Is there anyone else? All right, hearing none, reports. Principals.
Go first, you go first, ladies
Doesn't
first.
matter, sure, I can go first. Well, we're off and running, it's been kind of a long week, I think everybody will be glad tomorrow's Friday, but things have gone well. A week ago Wednesday, we had our Obeas bullying prevention training, and I think the teachers are excited to get started on that in their weekly class meetings with the kids. Our open house was last Monday, the barbecue here at school, and that was well attended, and then I think even those that weren't able to attend the barbecue and the short title meeting were at the open house. We had almost all parents there with their kids for the open house, so that was nice. So we're just kind of settling in and getting routines. I'm still making up schedules for paras, and so it's been busy. I did have some kind of unofficial numbers for you, as I say again, unofficial. At West Ward, last year we had a total with preschool of 122 students, and as of today we have 117. And I was pretty pleased with that because we took a pretty good hit. Last year we had 29 4-year-olds that we were serving. We had 20 in morning preschool and the overflow with 9 in the afternoon. So we have a sizable kindergarten class. And this year we only have 15. This is the first year ever that we haven't filled both preschools. We have 14 in our 4-year-old class and 15 in our 3-year-old class. So considering that we took a pretty good hit in preschool, I was pleased with those numbers. In fact, this year, we have 88 in K through 2 compared to 82 last year. So somehow it seems to find a way to stabilize and balance. I was trying to think in Westward, I only can think of one child we expected that moved out of the district. And we had 5 move in and 1 option in. And over here at Westward, there were 4. Denise and I actually looked today. There were 4 that we expected to be in 3 through 6 that moved out of the district. And we had 5 move in and 1 option in. So, like I said, there again, at the end of last year, I believe 3 through 6 had 98 students. And as of today, we have 96. Ironically, 48 boys and 48 girls in 3 through 6. So, anyway, so it seems to find a way to sort of stabilize there, so we'll hope that continues. Other than that, everybody's just, like I said, ready for Friday. So, oh, and I do have handbooks for you here too, that I'll pass around. And you said that you guys haven't gotten your handbooks yet for the board and Mr. Dempsey, so. Some of you have one already. Not up to July.
Is there any questions for Mary? Thank you, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the new guy's on the hot seat now.
Yeah. It's, as she said, it's been fast, and it's been long, but it has, I think it has gone very well over here in high school. Feels like I've got a lot of irons on the fire right now. I mean, you get 3 people coming in, they all have something different to talk to you about, and I feel, I'm humbled, I'm the new guy on the block. I haven't been the new guy on the block for a long time. I don't know who, how, and when, so I'm asking all the questions now. I'm used to having people ask me. It is humbling, but I tell you what, you guys got a great staff. You have a very good staff. They've been very helpful. We had that training, the Obeas, they were all engaged on task doing that. What I'm really trying to do is remember names and faces, because that's the most difficult part of this, is putting a face to name. And I got an annual from last year, so that should help me out with the students for sure. We talked, and the theme for the year for us over here is respect and pride. We want kids to be respectful, be proud of their school, because it's a great school. Your kids are well mannered. They are very well mannered, very respectful, and knock on wood, not one tardy yet. So I'm pretty happy considering this. So that we had a few tardies last year. We have ordered 2 microwaves. They should be here tomorrow, beginning next week. And Mr. Kreppel had a microwave in his room. We're gonna put in the lunchroom, so the kids have another option at lunch. So if they wanna bring something in and heat it up, they can. We did this at Friend, and it's really chic for a while, but then the kids just kind of fall back in. If they remember to bring something, they'll bring it in and cook. But I had kids bring leftovers every day, one family, leftovers every day. And they sometimes had better food than I ate the night before. So I was trying to get a bite of it, and they never gave it to me. In our meetings, we found out in one of our meetings that we needed to work on our safety and security handbook a little bit. But what I was told last year by our safety auditor, that we should separate all 3 of them. There should be 3 separate handbooks. So throughout the year, we'll be in the process of doing that. And we'll use the iloveyouguys.org site. Don't say .com, you don't wanna see what you're gonna see when you won't be able to at school, I'll tell you that. That is gonna be the guide for a lot of our safety and security. The lockdown, the lock-in, the evacuation plan, those things. And homecoming, believe it or not, is 2 weeks away. Yeah, it's the 2nd game of the year. And if you look at the calendar, it probably makes the most sense, because everything else is an obstacle there. So kids are busy planning. They had plenty of time. They had some extra time on Monday to plan. They had some time Wednesday. It's in full swing. So I'm just trying to hang on, stay above water right now. But it's going well. It's going very well.
Any questions for the new guy? I thought he was gonna say he was in the hot seat over there, dude. For a second. Thank you, Mr. Dempsey. Superintendent.
Okay, got a number of things to touch on. I guess first off, our budget and finance will meet the 22nd and work at 5 o'clock. You also have a handout that's on your table now of the evaluations I received Antelope County's yesterday, and then Pierce's today. And then I included a bar graph from the PowerPoint that I usually do at the budget workshop. So you're looking at $538,899,612. That's a slight decrease from last year, which was $550 $6,324,850. You can see from 13-14 to 14-15, there was quite a jump there, and things went up. Now I think you're seeing the plateau or the leveling off, so it'll be interesting to see the next couple of years, if that remains fairly the same, or we're on a slow, downward trend there. So most of it was Antelope County. Pierce County kind of holds up for us pretty well with those numbers. So I got like I said, an email from Assessor Rogge from Pierce and was able to put those together. So I've got some numbers plugged in. Gonna be chatting with a couple of gurus I know at NDE, and kind of go from there, and should have something for the 22nd when we meet and go over the items there. Strategic planning met August 6th. Went over a number of things. One of them is we're looking at a full board, I guess, learning session, September 26th. I've got a rough outline of an agenda, coming in, learning about the different parts of programs and schools. The principals will do some, I want to say lessons, if you will, or overviews of areas. Same thing for maintenance and other items. Kenny made a request for budget, which will also go in there too, which would be a very good thing. Also, I have a facilities planning document that'll be at the ready. I have it listed under the other committee, but if you draw an arrow up to strategic planning, that'll be presented there too. In regards to advanced ed, met with Mr. Dempsey and Mr. Metchke to go over items related to collegiality and that kind of thing. So part of that is a top-down kind of appraisal, if you will. So need to look at, ethics statement, if you will, an outline or an overview of kind of having a line of how we treat people from top all the way to bottom. When it comes down to administration and staff, some advice that is kind of been suggested is looking at PLCs, or personal learning communities, and that's where you have groups of teachers that are come together and work with administration. Administration works with them to, basically tackle some curriculum work. It also could be a further learning and improvement. Could be a PLC of new teachers where you work with them on adjusting instruction and that kind of thing. So Mr. Metchke is our key staff member when it comes to that, and of course Mr. Dempsey will too, because Mr. Loof is kind of the hub of the advanced ed process going there. So we're going to get together. We're going to get a call to Dr. Dexter, and I think we have it down about probably 95% of understanding of kind of what they want and what they'll be looking for when they come back. But good news is we are accredited. We got the certificate on the wall over there. It's a pretty expansive document. It's a good thing to kind of sit and read. It's not a little skim over kind of thing, but some good food for thought and a good goal to kind of work at. And I think it's definitely one we could do, and I think we really have our work cut out for us. Related to buildings and grounds, I had a quick opportunity at the beginning of August. I got it together in 3 days before the due date. Nebraska Department of Environmental Quality has a diesel mitigation program, and there was a Volkswagen, I don't say trust fund, if you will, but allotment to the states due to the Volkswagen deal. So along with us, there was 40 other schools that submitted applications to replace buses. I originally looked at 98 for replacement. After talking with Ryan a bit, switched gears and went with the 03. Basically it has double the miles, the bottom's rusted out. Ironically enough, it was in the shop in Norfolk at the time. So I think that ought to tell you something. But, so our application, and you have a letter there, has been approved. And so what we'll look at for the September agenda is to purchase a bus essentially at half price and to get O3 off the road. The stipulation of the grant is you have to be scrapped. You can't sell it or take it to the detassel companies or anything like that. Once you have your certificate of scrapping, then you can send it in to them, and then they reimburse you. So we'll need to cut a check for the full amount, and then they'll reimburse us for that price that's listed there. So we've got plenty of time, and the timeline works good. So we'll have that September 10th if everything goes well and if the committee agrees. Americanism and instruction, we'll just that'll be kind of a brief overview thing, just some cursory deals. There's been some interest in that because social studies will be looking at some revision as well. And there's been some interest in the legislature regarding the Americanism thing. A lot of those statutes are pretty old and what have you, but I think you'll see some discussion of that in January. Speaking of legislative and policy, I figured the 16th of January would be a good meeting. Get the session back in. It might be a good thing for us to put our heads together and I don't know, maybe have to go visit Lincoln Day or pick up the phone and call your state senator time. I did hear that there's a petition initiative to essentially cut $1 billion. I don't know if that's from property taxes or spending in general. But you cut that amount, that's gonna hurt across many areas. Sometimes when people do that, they have proposals like that to purposely gain attention to a cause and to push the envelope. So it'll be interesting to see how far and all that goes. Board training development opportunities. October 3rd is the NASB regional meeting in Norfolk at the Lifelong Learning Center. I copy and pasted the agenda items there. They'll talk about basically vision, Gallup, turning talents into strengths, overview of ESSA, AQuest, school improvement, and all that other fun stuff that can kind of be confusing at times, and as well as basically how to help develop resilient students, and that's also a primary focus. One thing that I think you all need to kind of toot your horns about, NASB has kind of a ratings or level system, and all 6 of you have moved up a level in their rankings. You do that by using their products and services as well as attending trainings. So if you wish to go, do let me know, because they like a head count and know who's going to shake hands and maybe receive a certificate or something too. So I think that'd be a great thing, and something you ought to pat yourselves on the back for. That's a good deal. 2 last items real quick. Also gave you out a brief selection there, just looking at some budget numbers that I kind of pulled on revenue. From our regular sheets that you guys get, we're at 101% of revenue, which is pretty good. And we did see some dips in a few though. Motor vehicle tax is a little bit lower. Local license and fines is a little bit lower as well. People must be driving better. Same thing with county fines and licenses. On a positive note, the state aid for special education school age went up. That's always a positive thing. That's a very large cost there. Prorate motor vehicle tax, we received less revenue in those areas. So those were just kind of some revenue things that caught me right there, caught my eye. On the expenditure side, I did a comparison of costs up to date this year versus costs up to date from last year. Some of those numbers won't jump out to you, maybe 200,000 increase. Benefits, that kind of thing. 1200s is your special education realm. 2100s is divided up between paras and office staff. And 2600s is related to your maintenance area as well. I did pull out some special education costs as well. On a very good note, we have about $100,000 decrease in the CLC costs there, otherwise known as TMH in the sheets. you'll see that in there, notice that. The site testing went up, basically that's just assessment for verifications and that kind of thing for IEPs. Speech therapy was up a tad bit, but nothing too terrible. Maintenance, sweat costs, water and sewer, a little bit higher. Repairs, was, 52,000 some odd versus 46,692. Fuel actually went down a little bit. Electricity was kind of generous. And, gas and oil went up, by about 4,000 there, 4,400. So those are just some items I like to kind of keep my eye on as we get to this point in the year, and definitely keep an eye on the sped numbers when we get to the budgeting piece. So, last item, did print out some of the Oveus PowerPoint items there. And I really need to stress, compared to where we've been previously, this is a major step. This is a major step in the right direction. And I was very impressed. Our Oveus committees, we have one at West Ward, one at East Ward Elementary, and then the high school up here. Those folks came in on a summer day. They put together some binders. They made some class rules. They went over class meeting rules. The high school's organizing it in a house kind of system. And I don't say it's a Harry Potter Hogwarts thing where they kind of have different groups and wear different shirts, but that's kind of the point, to have a close connection between kids and the instructor. So the teachers were given a big task, and they took the ball and they ran with it, which was a great thing. The first slide's really important. Sometimes the word bullying gets tossed around quite a bit. It's one thing to have one isolated episodic conflict, not have it be bullying. The key point is repeated on purpose, and you have a power differential there. And I think that's the thing of teaching kids, working with community, and working with staff, that everyone knows what the definition is. If kids have a disagreement or what have you, that's normal problem solving and dealing with conflict resolution. If it's repeated and going on, then you have to work at it that way. On the second page, the teachers did some role play, and you'll kind of see a U-shaped item there with some letters on each one. And basically, from the research of Dan Oveus, you'll see in the middle, the student that's bullied, that's letter H. The student who is the bully is A, and then you have other folks around the ring: followers, supporters, passive supporters, disengaged onlookers, and possible defenders. And the point of Oveus is to get every one of those letters, every one of those round block or the square blocks, to move around to the other side, even a little bit. So you move those kids further in their thinking towards being defenders, towards that letter G there. And that's the point and focus of the program. And then you also work with student A as well. Why is student A engaging in that behavior? It's not naming and shaming and vilifying that kid. It's working with them and getting them also to stop and kind of recognize the behavior too. That's a key thing. The third slide there is things I've kind of mentioned previously. This takes effort. It does cost a little money. It does cost us time, but it pays off. It's a good investment. What you see there in the bulleted lists, group treatment for children, zero tolerance policies, mediation, conflict resolution, all those things don't work. And sometimes what some schools do is they play whack-a-mole with the issue. You have some excitement for a little bit, and then life kind of goes on until it rears its head again. And that's just not the right way to run things. And this was based on a lot of research, and quite frankly, we know a lot in 2018, more than people did in 2010, So this is, as the years go by and more research gets added, we find out a lot. The next page is the rules that we posted around the school. You're gonna see those in classrooms and in hallways. And the fourth item is very important. That's a key item there. I don't have it with me here, but when we did when Kathy Lockard was here to do the training with the teachers at West Ward, there was 6 factors if kids of who kids tell when they're being bullied. And you guys know what rank telling the teacher got? Number 6, because they don't tell the teacher. And that's a key thing, and so we need to have number 6 be a little bit higher, and that's the point too. So that 4th goal there is very important. They also have on-the-spot interventions, if you turn a corner around the hallway and what you directly witness, what you'll do, what you'll say, and how to interact with those students, and also to communicate with other staff members as well. I did get the high school class meeting ground rules there. Copier was kind of fighting me there on the ink. The ones the teachers have look much nicer. But basically, you get them in a circle, and they have different topics that they're going to work on. And what's really exciting is the very last page there. They made a schedule of a kickoff event, and they're going to have class meetings regarding each rule. They also have a teacher guidebook to cover certain topics. Hot spots might be a place in the building where might not have cameras or not as supervised as well. Kind of identify those and keep an eye out for kids. Well, we're also going to build in a service project. Mrs. Knust has been very instrumental in that piece as well, giving back to the community and serving others, and as well as meeting other things. Ethics are for everybody, reciprocity may be gilded, and what would you do? And so those are some really good themes, and there's a lot of items that we've been provided through the trainer, and so I think with everything that's transpired, and yes, we're not completely done, but this is a good point. This is a very important point, and I really want to stress that, and I think it's going to be a great environment for our students, especially our staff, moving forward here. And the theme of respect is, and pride will only be reinforced by it. So I guess that's all I have. That's quite a bit there, so apologize for that, but a lot of things come up last minute.
Scott, I wanted to confirm on that budget and finance meeting, that's at 5 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Okay, it just on the agenda it says 4:30,
All right.
which isn't a problem, I just wanted to make sure that.
You bet. And I'll shoot you guys a reminder too. I'll try and get a reminder out probably in the morning.
All right, any other questions for Scott? All right, let's move on. Board members, any board members with the report? New business. All right, Mr. Hecker, we don't have general, but, I guess policy says you have 5 minutes to talk about it.
Okay. Good evening, all. I would like to report to the board about a conversation I had with Mr. Gregory last week. It was brought to my attention that the school hired a company from Atkinson to do some landscaping by the football field, and they also brought in a whole bunch of mulch and approximately 20 plants from that company. The reason I approached Mr. Gregory about this topic is because that particular job was given to someone outside the school district area, someone from Atkinson. Not discounting the fact that they did a good job, but just wondering why this wasn't even offered to a company within the school district. I subscribe to and read both the Neely News and the Antelope County News every week, and there was never anything stating the school was looking to hire someone for that work. If you don't know, I own a full-time business of yard work and do landscaping work. In the summer of 2017, I was contracted by the city of Neely to take care of the area by the Rainbow Fountain and the Trail of Tears Monument. And many people told me it looked much better than they thought it looked that year. I know Jesse Mitchell also does landscaping work and he's very good at it. There are other businesses in this area too, but none of us were given that opportunity. Also, the landscapers did some work cutting on a tree. There were only 5 organizations who have a City of Neely arborist license this year, and and I am the only business in Neely that has an arborist license. The company from Atkinson does not have a City of Neely arborist license, so I believe they were violating city ordinances when they kept the tree without proper licensing. I don't think that's a precedent the school wants to set. I asked Mr. Gregory how much money was spent on the plants and mulch. He never did answer about the mulch, but was very quick to tell me that our school purchased none of the plants. He said all of the plants were uncovered beneath the weeds, and I told him that several of the plants still had price tags on them. I saw 8 or 9 plants that looked uniform in size and age, and a couple of those had price tags of $35 each. There were another 8 to 10 plants that were also in the same size and parent age, and some of those had price tags of $19 each. Anybody who's ever worked with mulch before will tell you how expensive it is, so I have no idea how many hundreds of dollars were spent on mulch. All of that sales tax went to support the city of Atkinson and the West Holt School District, not Neely or the Neely Oakdale schools. I would like to show off this shirt that I brought with me for the homecoming 2018. All these businesses that are listed on the back, each one of these companies were contacted by the Neely Oakdale schools to donate for this t-shirt. This way, each student within Neely Oakdale could have a free t-shirt. But when it's time for Neely Oakdale schools to pay a contractor to do a landscaping job and purchase a tremendous amount of plants and mulch, we give away the wages and sales taxes to people from Atkinson. We ask these businesses to support our school, and it doesn't seem right that our school doesn't support the local businesses in return. I hope this is not going to be the standard operating procedure from now on, because it makes our school look ungrateful for the overwhelming support offered by our local people and businesses. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Craig. All right, new business, discussion of action of board policy 300.01, 303.09. Mr. Gill.
Okay, basically the 300 sections here are dealing with the role of the administration in the school, where they get the rights to do their job, what the job encompasses. The first one gives us what the role of the administration is, 300.01, and identifies the board holds the superintendent responsible for his duties, and the principals are more directly responsible for educational results, administration of school facilities and employees. The structure of management. Board and administrators work together making decisions and setting goals for the school district. And each administrator participates fully in this management. 301.03. Anybody have questions on the first two? 03, succession of authority to the superintendent. If he's not here, who takes order? This gives the order that people can assume the responsibility, and it would only be while he would be gone. Communication channels. Questions and problems should be resolved at the lowest organizational level nearest to the complaint. In other words, first they go to the teachers or the people who are at the lowest level, and then they work their way up to the administrative. Any questions? Those two.
I had a question on the 301.3.
Yeah.
It talks about, it just says principal. Do we need to denote which principal would be the next in charge? I was reading this the other night, I got thinking about that if there's going to be one person, when we have two principals, do you think we should name one or the other?
I mean,
took care of our respective buildings, and that's out. It went well.
Well, maybe it's grade related or, where the duties are split too.
Right.
We have the same problem with guidance counselor.
So would we want to make a change to add principal slash S? So it could be either one or the two? Or do we wanna just leave it as is, with the understanding that it's a dual job?
We could put it at board's discretion. That way if you get credit on guidance counselors, it's the same, picking one guidance counselor or the other. You see what I mean? It'd be at the board's discretion is which principal. And if we lose superintendent or principals, then we're gonna put on guidance counselors, and once you get past that, we wonder if we got a school yet. That'd be my suggestion, otherwise I'd just kind of leave it like it is. Since it's vague, who's gonna decide?
Yeah.
Sometimes what we do, if the three of us are gone, we'll designate a person to kind of be a head teacher, and that person has administrative certificate. We have a good number of them too, so, for example, Mr. Beacom will be designated as head teacher if the three of us are at an ASB or something. And it works out well. And the times he's had it done, he's done a pretty good job, so.
So you wanna just leave it then?
Yeah, I mean, if there's a process, obviously, that they use and they're comfortable with that, I'm okay with that.
I think so too. Anything on 30104?
Chain of command. Subsidiary. It's chain of command.
Yeah. 30201, list the superintendent's qualifications, recruitment, and appointment, how we arrive at superintendents when we do a search. 30202, the contract and contract non-renewal. What you must do when you renew it, some dates that are important there, April 15th. Contract begins July 1st, ends on June 30th. In the event of non-renewal, termination, or amendment of the contract, we need to give notice by April 15th, and the board needs to take final action on the contract by May 15th.
And that's all in statute.
Yeah. Um, 30203, superintendent salary and other compensation. The board has the discretion to set the salary of the superintendent. And 30204 lists the duties of the superintendent. I guess if you looked through them and you saw one that wasn't there, or one that we need to get rid of, you could probably make note. I didn't see any problem with any of them. We go 205, superintendent evaluation. 5 points there, top of the formal evaluation, principles of it. Conduct one every year. 208, the superintendent consulting or outside employment. It's considered a full-time employee, but sometimes you can accept consulting or outside employment for pay as long as in the judgment of the board it's conducted on his personal time and doesn't interfere with his duties. Administrator qualifications, recruitment appointment 303-02. Process that we go through to get our other administrators, principals, basically. 303-03, their contract non-renewal. The contracts for 205-day year.
Mr. Bill, I'm wondering about that,
Mine's
205.
210,
Mine's 210.
okay.
And yours is 205, right? I thought that's what I heard.
I thought that was 185 plus 5 extra.
Oh.
But
They don't-
I will double
The
check.
190 or
I know it's
195s,
not
that's a
205.
bygone, time. Most of them are standard 210 on average. That's, you won't see very many that are 190, 195 anymore.
Well, shoot, maybe we get 215 while we're talking about it. 230?
It seems like we're here that long anyway, it doesn't matter.
Just trying to lighten the.
Maybe I'll have to.
Okay,
I'll look at mine too.
so do we need to change that to reflect the change in policy?
I could, you could probably do that as a clerical error, and just have Jenny fix that.
Okay, Jenny, if you would fix that, please. You got where that's at?
Jimmy?
Is that in statute?
You have where
Is
that's
there anything
at?
in statute on the
No.
number of days?
Doesn't say anything.
No,
in statute.
but it helps you with retirement and that kind of stuff.
I'll just handle this as a typo and change that 205 to 210 on 303.03. If you have questions, you can ask me them all. Okay. 303.05, administrator duties. Again, that's the list. Let's see, page, one page, one line on the back page. And administrator evaluation, 303-06. Who conducts the evaluation, superintendent, and choose an instrument and the formal evaluation includes the opportunity for the administrator and superintendent to discuss the performance and areas of growth. It needs to be done by April 15th, and this is a statute. And then the administrator consulting outside employment is pretty much the same as the superintendent's, as long as they can do this work and it doesn't interfere with their job.
That 205 should just be a regular housekeeping.
That 303.
It wasn't taken
Yeah.
care of when contracts were changed
No,
or signed. No, you're not gonna get to 5 days back.
I would move that we adopt the board policies 300-01 to 303-09.
Motion is second, well, I'm sorry, the boards, they're already in place.
Yep.
Don't have any corrections,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
The next one is an adoption.
Now we need to adopt 205-02, it's on the front page. In the third section, in the second line, The emergency policy shall expire at the close of the third regular meeting following the emergency action. We had to clarify which meeting it was, we changed it to May the third, so I would move that we accept this policy adoption change of 20502.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Jenny?
Field,
Yes.
Personal,
Yes.
Savatos,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rayford,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes, motion carries. Item 10C, discussion and action to approve EMC insurance policy for 2018-19 school year.
And we took care of this last year in September's meeting, with this meeting kind of being moved to tonight, and I received the paperwork early in the week, added it to the agenda. Talked to Joe Knight, and this year's quote, as you see, is $60,963. That is a big improvement from last year's quoted figure, which was $71,268. The primary reason that has occurred is, remember, we're in a giant pool, if you will, of insurers. And the claims for workman's compensation and injuries has declined enough that you can see that benefit right there. I believe my first year, there was a slight uptick in claims in the pool, and that there was a slight increase that year. But this is a very good number here, and they've done a pretty good job with us and working with us, and definitely a good deal.
I think one year they jumped us about 10,000 or something, I can't remember, but I think that was maybe last year, 2 years ago, I don't remember. Did you explore any options as far as sending bids out?
Well, I think,
This year,
yeah, probably, when we get into January, as my third year here, probably do that. I know there's some places in town that would be interested in that. You have to start in the spring, you can't start in the summer, because they've gotta compile all the information. And if you look too in the documentation there, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to get together.
Oh,
So
sure.
you've got contents of buildings, the vehicles, the buildings itself. But yeah, that will be coming due.
okay, well, then I don't know, I think for good housekeeping, it doesn't hurt to do it every few years. I don't know if something you wanna do every year, but, like I said, I mean, it's, if you've been happy with them and maybe it's a really good rate, I haven't had any problem.
We can definitely look at that for the fall.
So this was not a 2-year contract or anything in the past, this is an annual contract and we have to renew?
Correct.
Okay.
I would make a motion to approve the MC insurance policy for the 18-19 school year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Jenny?
Ranky,
Yes.
Personal,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Field,
Yes.
Savatos,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes. Motion carries. I see nothing else on the agenda, except for the fact there's a lemon meringue pie down
I doubt it's
at down at the park. If you can beat it down there, it's got 5 minutes to 8.
I doubt it's there.
So I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting and see what we can get done down there.
Sorry.
A motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Scott, I will not